All right, we're back from closed session, so we'll reconvene this meeting. We'll start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lishawn, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yokut, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the MDUSD community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of MDUSD and broader Bay Area communities today. You may stand for the pledge. Okay. All right, so that moves us to 6.3, review and approval of minutes for regular board meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of our regular board meeting.
I'll second that.
It's a motion from trustee Nzewi and a second from trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So that moves us to 6.4, review and approve potential approval of the agenda for this evening. Dr. Clark, are there any changes?
Madam President, no changes, but I do just want to take a moment and just recognize our new attorney for the district, Suzanne. That's Suzanne Strecky Kim, and she's been with us for about a week now and is learning many great things about Mount Diablo, and we're excited to have her join us tonight.
Excited to be here. Welcome, Ms. Strecky Kim.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, thank you. That's a motion from trustee Mason and a second from trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So that moves us to the report out 7.0 and the report out of action taken in closed session. So for 7.1, negotiations, the board may discuss negotiations or provide direction to its representatives regarding represented employees pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The board received information. For item 7.2, discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee, Government Code Section 54957B1. In closed session, by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to approve the resignation of employee ID number 46939 per the agreement. And also, for this item in closed session, the board considered the non-reelection and release of 4 probationary certificated employees under Education Code Section 44929.21 and voted by a vote of 4 in favor. And that was trustees Cowan, Nzewi, Mayo, and Mason. And 1 abstention, that was me, McFerrin, to direct the district to send notice that they will be non-reelected and released at the end of the 2023 to 2024 school year from their certificated positions. In closed session, the board considered the release of 4 certificated administrative employees under Education Code Section 44951 and 44929.21 and voted by a vote of 5 in favor and 0 against to direct the district to send notice that they will be released and reassigned or released and non-reelected at the end of the 2023 to 2024 school year from their certificated administrative positions. And then for 7.3, public employee performance evaluation superintendent pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, the board received information. And so that should move us to public comment. I do see we have some folks. Do we have any? No public comment this evening? No? Okay. So that should move us to communications. Do we have any district organizations who've asked to speak? No. Okay, so that moves us to 10.0 recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark.
Yes, Madam President, I have before you tonight Resolution 23/24-55, National School Social Work Week, which is March 3rd through 9th. Whereas the importance of school social work through the inclusion of school social work programs and services has been recognized in the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 and the Individuals with Disabilities Act. Whereas school social workers are exceptionally skilled in providing services to students who face serious challenges to school success, including disability, poverty, discrimination, abuse, neglect, mental illness, homelessness, bullying, family stressors, and other barriers to learning. So now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District, number 1, supports the designation of School Social Work Week. Number 2, honors and recognizes the contributions of school social workers to the successes of students in schools across Mount Diablo Unified School District. And number 3, encourages our schools to observe School Social Work Week with appropriate ceremonies and activities that promote awareness of the vital role of school social workers in schools and communities as a whole in helping students prepare for their futures as productive citizens. Madam President, I now leave this in the hands of the board.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 23/24, number 55, in support of National School Social Work Week.
I'll second that.
That's a motion from trustee Mason and a second from trustee Cound. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously with concurrence from our student board member. And so that should move us to our mid-year progress report from One Day at a Time.
Great. Madam President, we are just honored to have before us this evening members from One Day at a Time. We have its founder and CEO, Johnny Rodriguez, and his staff, and he's also brought some exceptional students from the Ignacio Valley High School. And what they're going to do tonight is kind of just give us an update of what their program is and what the students can expect to experience, and just kind of give us a mid-year review. So without any further ado, we have Johnny Rodriguez, and I'd like you to all welcome him.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you first, President, and also board members, and also Superintendent, for giving us an opportunity to come here and give you a small report, a little overview of who we are and what we do. I know that we included some slides just to give some history of ODAT, right? I know we didn't have the opportunity to actually come up and meet you guys in the beginning, so we're going to backtrack a little bit, but also hopefully give a little bit of opportunity for some of the young people if you want to ask questions or you want them to speak. I mean, they're here. Obviously, we wouldn't bring all of them because we wouldn't have no other seats for anybody else, which is great. It's a good problem to have. This is our group, and actually, we're missing a few students. We were blessed that we were given an opportunity to have a classroom. I'll be honest with you, they treat us very well at YV. We've been treated very respectfully, open arms, and staff. So just to give you an idea, though, when we arrive at the school site, there is a plan, right? There's some strategy around making this program successful. And one of those is for us to be able to meet directly with the admin, is to really get the admin and administration to understand who we are, some of our goals, some of the things that we're hoping to do there, and then get their buy-in. And once we get their buy-in, it opens up other doors and makes it a little bit easier of the process. One of the other things that we did is to meet with all of the staff. So we made sure to go in and do some staff presentations at some of the staff meetings to make sure that they know who we are, right? I mean, who's that guy walking on our campus, meet with the students, start to make people comfortable. I'll be honest, this is one of our first times ever working in Concord. So a lot of people don't know who we are. They might have heard the name, but don't know the people. So one of the things we also did was make sure strategy is to meet with the staff, get everybody comfortable, give them an overview of the organization. So once we do that, then we start doing our recruitment. And I'll be honest with you, our recruiting of students is a little bit unique. They could tell you. I know when I walked on campus, I would say 99% of the staff probably thought I was either an undercover officer, probation officer, who's this guy? And then, of course, I changed my clothing on him once in a while just to, okay, golly, he's not dressed in a suit and tie today, so he must be okay, kind of thing, right? But in saying that it's really being out there. One of our biggest recruitment methods is to actually be in the hallways, be at lunchtime, go see the kids, see who's who, and then at some point, right, start to put together a group. So if, I'm not used to the thing. I'm usually, okay, this is nice. So we actually started on the site, September 5th was our first site. So we usually use a month and a half to do some recruitment and start to do things like that. But we did want to put together, bring you our mission statement and our vision and some of our core values when it comes to wording. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to go through the whole thing because it'd take a while, but, and I'd rather hear the kids than myself, but is understanding, right? Is really having the kids understand choices, right? Why are we doing what we do, right? But also having an understanding of others, right? Is really understanding, because I'll be honest, not all of our kids just get along, right? And understanding where we're all coming from and seeing that a lot of us are more alike than we're not, right? And start to build that respect, start to build that climate, starting to build that culture within the school. So one of the big things for us is not just focusing on the students, but focusing on the climate of the campus, right? Because at some point they'll change that, not us, right? So one of the biggest things is really getting our kids to understand those things, and hopefully a lot of other wonderful things will happen. Some history around ODAT. We've been around for a while. I started in working with youth in 1993. I actually worked for Brentwood Unified School District, and then went on and worked with Roslyn Upshaw at Pittsburgh Unified School District at the high school after Mr. Lieber had retired at that time. Those that know Mr. Lieber, that's a long time ago, right? That's some years, right? So starting in 93, we actually became an official nonprofit ourselves. In 1997, we ended up building our, creating our, we have a variety of components now within our organization. So we're not just a school-based program. We have a hospital-based program, which you see here in 2010 that we created with John Muir Hospital called Beyond Violence. We also then, what happened is we released our 501c3 and we went under a fiscal sponsor. For us at that time, it was a smart idea because we were really good at the direct services, and we'll let somebody else deal with all the HR and all that kind of stuff. We like to be on the front lines, to be honest with you. That's where our passion is. We also, in 2019, created a room called the Reflection Room for elementary kids. So I know I was one of those kids, right, that go to detention and write that you will not throw anything at the students in class, and 100 times. Well, we really created a reflection room at Belshaw Elementary School in Antioch. Was to really give kids, we used the toolbox curriculum and really get kids to understand what they did and how they could do things differently instead of having them just sit there, waste time. The pandemic, we all know about the pandemic, and golly, that really, right? Our school-based program, I'll be honest, as an organization, we were really, really strong. We're actually, at that time the pandemic hit, we had gotten funded by Kaiser to be able to do a 5-year strategic plan. And right when we were almost done with it, everything shut down on us, and we do a lot of our strong work at the school site. So it really impacted our organization. So the good thing is we're building a lot more traction that we had for the last couple of years. So we're doing really well, but we did take a big hit. We also have a program called Uplifting Peace in the city of Antioch. We only work with strictly shooters within the city of Antioch, which is an interesting grant and an interesting program. And then also we have another group program called Elevated Youth that's funded through the Sierra Foundation. It's really focusing on substance abuse, and the youth actually run that agenda, which is really, really nice. And please stop me because I could go, and I'm just going to go and go and go. If you have a question, feel free to ask. And I know they're all nervous because they're like, right? So I'd love to hear from them more than myself, like I said. Our youth development model. Oh, sorry about that. I know Miss Martinez over there. So our youth development model, and I apologize, I haven't introduced Miss Martinez. This is Miss Martinez. You guys also have funded us to not only bring the person that's going to be coordinating the stuff and also an assistant, and she's also working with us directly there at Ignacio Valley High School. She's going to go over a couple of these PowerPoints for me, but yeah, sorry about that. Forgot to introduce her. One of our biggest things, and like I said, I don't want to go through the whole thing, but a lot of people forget this: positive adult and mentor relationships. Huge, right? We want to expose our kids. We want our kids to meet different people. The beauty of me being at at Ignacio Valley is now when people want to meet with me, I can say, meet me at Ignacio Valley. And we'll talk a little bit about that, right? And there's different people that are utilizing our classroom to meet with me, but also meet our students. When we talk about the trades, we're talking about Tesla. Matter of fact, I got people from Northern Ireland that are coming into town and they want to come meet with us. We're meeting actually tomorrow. And some of the kids walk in, they meet the kids. It's really building the kids to see there's other opportunities out there, right? And also the community to see that as well. So we're really, really big on that, the positive relationship piece in regards to adults to students, because we feel that it increases connectedness and engagement with students, right? That's important. I think a lot of times we've just forgotten to do that, right? So like I said, I don't want to go through this whole thing, but that's our model that we use to hopefully develop and support young kids to be positive members in their communities. Our school-based program. So I just want to go over a couple of these. Our weekly groups, that's huge. I'll be honest with you, that's huge. So what we did was we selected 57 students within a month and a half. All 57 students are not forced to come to our program. We are not a mandatory program. We're not court mandated. We're not parent mandated. We're not teacher. We're not mandated at all, because what happens is we become a babysitting center than we are actually trying to create change. We want kids to be there because they want to be there. We want kids to be motivated there because they feel and they feel the importance of it, but at the same time, they want to create some change within themselves. So the beauty of this is we have 57 students. I'm sorry about this. Golly, am I getting bad? Yeah, where am I? Oh, I'm okay. Okay. Sorry about that. 57 students. Currently, we have about 45 to 50 students that are coming on a consistent basis. We probably lost about 7 students for various reasons, right? Some actually have transferred schools, different things like that. But obviously, we would love to be 100%. But obviously, I don't know any program that ever is or anything that ever is. But I'll be honest with you, those 45 to 50 students are coming. We're coming with a lot of energy. And I'll be honest with you, they're doing amazing. And I can't wait to hopefully one day when we do our graduation that you guys are able to attend. We started our groups in the middle of October. So like I said, we were on campus for a month and a half. They went through an orientation. During the orientation, they were told about the program, the different steps of the program. We have 5 t-shirts that we give away during the program because they're on a point system. For every 200 points that they get a new t-shirt. They need 1,000 points to graduate from our program. So we help them become accountable, right? We're checking grades, we're checking attendance, we're checking discipline, but also their participation at group. Different community activities, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So they're always on this point system because at the end of the day, we want them to earn it, right? We want them to feel proud of what they're doing because they're putting in the work. Leadership development, leadership opportunities. So for example, right now we're looking at hosting a Cinco de Mayo event at YV. So we're looking forward to you guys being able to attend. It's going to be May 3rd and we're going to rock that place. It's going to be nice. I think it's one of the first Cinco de Mayo event, but the beauty of this, who's running it will be all the kids that are in our group. It's going to be ran by our students. So start to build those skills, right? And when we talk about skills, it's not just taking leadership roles, but building communication, understanding how to talk to people, work with people, because we have different members of the communities. They're going to participate, but also they're going to be coming to be part of this. So, and we also want to thank some of our trades because some of the trades here also supported this event that we're going to be holding. So the Cinco de Mayo event is going to be very huge for our youth. Also, community service. I did want to mention this, and I know it's going to sound very interesting. We took a group of students to Los Gatos High School in Los Gatos, and they volunteered all their time to help run a wrestling tournament in Los Gatos. And honestly, it was a great opportunity for the kids. Some were different, some were, also got to meet different people in the community and just being able to give back. And I'll be and because of our collaboration with the city and also your district, we're looking at hopefully doing more work out here at Todos Santos Park. But right now, we're really just trying to build the school site and then later on go in the community and start doing more of our community service work out there. Any questions? I know I could keep going. I'm sorry. No questions so far? Okay, thank you. That could be good and that might not be good. Youth community
It's good. Don't worry.
service.
You're doing
Say
good.
again?
It's good. Don't worry. You're doing
Okay,
good.
okay, because I get going and I'll go. So youth community service and leadership activities. So once again, I mentioned the Cinco de Mayo event. There's a list here of different things that are going to participate. One of the big ones, and I know our students are really excited about, is the immigration forum that's going to be happening there at Ignacio Valley High School. They've actually asked our students to be part of that and help facilitate some of the stuff that's going to go on. So we're really excited about that. The other thing that we're really excited about is our guest speakers, bringing people in. We actually have one of you, I think he's a lieutenant, Paco Ramirez from Concord PD. They came in, and I'll be honest, I didn't know that was gonna go first with our students. First, it was like, I don't know. And then once they heard his story and where he comes from, I'll be honest, I think it started understanding. And the good thing is the kids were able to build a resource with someone that has over 20 years working here in Concord in the police department and vice versa. So what that's one of the things we're trying to do is build those bridges, right? Where can you grab over 50 students and put them in a room and have access to what they think and their perspective? And so I think it was a really great opportunity for Concord PD, but including them as ourselves, right? Just so you know, I'm not even gonna lie on the next one, that picture that's in the, so all the pictures you see are all your students, except for this one, because we haven't gotten here yet. But we will. So these are other students from other years, but I wanted to be honest, say that was because, man, we were already gathering so much from these kids in regards to photos and information and things like that. So we have a UC Davis trip that we're doing. That will be on the 16th of this month. We're going to the Cesar Chavez conference, and we're looking at taking, I think, about 40 to 45 students on that field trip. It's going to be on a Saturday, so we got kids, and I know they're always excited about meeting at 6:30 in the morning, a.m. sharp. So that means be there, right? And it's funny because they keep me on my time. So that's going to be a wonderful opportunity. We also have Tesla, and I wanted to share at least that one as well, is because that happened because of them. Actually, Tesla wanted to meet with me in regards to a few things. I asked them to meet me at Nation Valley, room where they're famous now, room 102. And they came, and while we were talking, the students would walk in. And one of the things that we really like about our students is they walk up, introduce themselves, shake their hands. And so they were a little bit like, okay, this is a little different. Usually kids don't want to, they go and sit in other areas of the room. But in saying that is they also heard some of the stories of their kids, and they came back and offered us to be able to bring all of our students and all our whole organization to Tesla and pay all expenses, transportation, food, and they're going to put a panel together. They're going to talk about Tesla, different things like that. But what a great opportunity, right? Really just to get out, because that's one of the big things for us, is to get the kids outside of Concord, outside of the school, so they could also see other opportunities that hopefully they could have. So that really happened because of them. And we obviously want to thank them, and we appreciate that, but just the opportunity. So this is Miss Martinez.
So along with the students during their orientation, they also had to fill out a questionnaire, which was part of like their registration to go into ODA and start group. And so some of the questions we asked, part of that questionnaire was like their gender, their age, their grade. So as you can see, some of these are, do you identify as LGBTQ? A lot of them said no. Majority of our group, 94% of our group, is actually Hispanic. We do have a few that are mixed, but generally they're all Hispanic. And our group, historically, I even think, has always been mainly females. So this year is cutting it pretty close, but it's still all females. And then this year too, we have a big 11th and 12th graders, a lot, like in our group. Other than that, we also asked if they are English language learners. 38% said yes. The others are more if they didn't know. A lot of them don't know because there's always that confusion where like, well, I learned Spanish at home and learned English at school, or like that. So that's why a lot of them like I'm not sure. So, and instead of asking, like they always go for the I'm not sure. And then for the free or reduced lunch, same thing. Like a lot of the students don't even go get lunch, so they've never even tried to check if they get free reduced lunch. And again, with the IEP, a lot of them don't have it. And then there was a few that said yes. So about 3% of our group do have an IEP. The other ones, they're not sure. Majority that if they don't know, it's most likely that they don't have an IEP. And then for our academic impact, like you said, our students are on a point system. So we compare first quarter to their second quarter grades. So their second quarter grades are their semester grades. And so when we look at their grades, we compare the two quarters, and that's how they get their points. So as you can see here on the first one, it's either if they maintain their good grades or improve their good grades. So 51% of our group actually improved or maintained their good grades. And then as far as discipline, again, we compare first quarter to their second quarter discipline. 83% improved in their discipline. And for the attendance, we do the same thing where we look at from first quarter to second quarter, and we look at their attendance in school as well as tardies. So this is 60% of our group.
So I say something.
Yes.
And sometimes this is very difficult because when we're recruiting our kids, right, a lot of people say, why that student? She has a 4.0. Why would she need to be in a program? A lot of things that we've forgotten, right, is that just because you have a 4.0 doesn't mean you're doing okay, right? So our thing is not just going, oh, that kid, it's the at-risk kid or that bad kid or that kid, all kids, right? All kids, we're all going through something. They all have a story. They all have a struggle. So one of the biggest things when we go into schools is obviously we get a list, right? The famous list when you walk on and you're a nonprofit and you say, oh my God, this guy's going to change the world, which we really don't believe programs change students. Students change themselves. We're just going to offer them opportunities, right? So in saying that is one of the big things is why that 4.0 student, right? And one of the big things we learned, nobody's ever asked how they're doing. And once you ask that question, right? And then you come, maybe the 4.0 is because she doesn't communicate at home. Maybe she goes straight to her room, does her work, doesn't go to, nobody's there, just focuses on school. That is not healthy, right? And then we see somebody later in the future and we go, what happened to her? She was such a great student. I understand that, but nobody ever asked how she was doing. So one of the big things with ODAT because within our group, we have a 36-week curriculum. We're going to ask. We're going to want to know. We're going to want to support each other. If it's academics, if it's mental, social, emotional, if it's this or that, family, whatever, we want to be able to hear it so that we can work through those things. So hopefully we're not only focusing on the exterior of a student, but we're also focusing on the core of a student, right? And helping them heal and develop through that. So sometimes when you look at the data, what's hard for us, sometimes we get a kid, they're 4.0, oh my God, how do they improve more, right? They're doing well, right? So it gets really tough, right? But we're still on them, right? But it is tough. But a lot of times we're focusing on those other things. And I'll be honest with you, these are hard data, right? Hard data is easy to get. This is easy. I go online, pull up a name. It's that soft data. It's that soft data. It's that kid walking into the school campus smiling a little bit. Is that kid walking on campus feeling that he has a purpose? Is that kid, all those kind of things. Those are things that ODAT really focuses on as well, because we need that person to feel good on school. Because when they feel good at campus, then they're going to want to perform. They're going to want to be more respectful, all those kind of things. So I just want to share that because data could get really tricky. Believe me, I've seen it in many different ways. But I think the soft data is sometimes that we miss, is sometimes the most important when it comes to those small life skills that they're learning, right, and developing. So go ahead, Mom. Sorry.
Oh, no, that was it. I don't know if you guys have
Oh.
any questions regarding the data.
Man, you guys are easy.
I mean, they're
Jeez.
awesome.
Oh, they're trying to get to them. That's what it is. They're trying to get rid of me. Okay. We put some new testimonies. What we love about this, and I know Ms. Martinez did it really quick the other day. She asked the kids who would like to, a couple of kids, and they wrote some testimonies. So when if anybody has time, they're a beautiful thing to hear from the kids. I did put some collaboration history, right? Who we partnered with in the past, who we're currently partnered with. And I wanted to share that because more is, I know some of us don't know who ODAT is and all that. So it just gives you somewhat an idea like who we partner with and who we haven't partnered with. This is a really good quote, right? The USA youth may represent 23.8% of the population, but they represent 100% of our future. And I really think that, oh, sorry about that, man. That's important to know, right? Is the input of our young people is so important, right? And putting them in positions and in areas that are to hopefully make change and help be part of the decisions and giving input and all those kind of things. So I know this is our first year. And of course, we're looking forward to being here longer than 1 year. We do want to recognize the city of Concord as well. They're in partnership with this. They actually invested also 2 years of funding to support some of the areas that we're going to be doing as in field trips activities. They're paying for our graduation this year. The city of Concord that we're hoping that you're going to be able to attend, and we'll give you a personal invitation. But I think that also at some point, how can we get our young people at the table, right? Of being a part of the conversation, the larger conversation when it comes to Concord and its youth. So now I'm done. I want to open to any questions I love to see how they're going to, it's going to be good. Mr. Clark?
Yeah, I'm not going to start calling them up by name and stuff, but I am going to have one or two of the students come up and share kind of what's going on. So
Let's go. At least go up here. They're like, so what
Yeah.
are we going to do? I don't know. We're going to talk about ODAT, I think. I hope.
And all you got to do is just tell us your name and just tell us something you're getting out of the program or you hope to get out of the program. That would be great.
Okay, hello, my name is Ana Chavez. I am an 11th grader at Ignacio Valley High School. I don't even know how to start. Honestly, I met Johnny like just walking around like he said. I was surprised when he called me into class. I didn't even know that class existed to begin with. I went in there the first time and I liked the vibe. He threw in students from all over the place. And just technically in group, he's taught us so many like life skills. That place became like a home to me. I am so thankful we have ODAP at school now. I look every Tuesday. I wake up looking forward for group. It just makes me so excited knowing that I have Johnny, I have Ms. Martinez, I have like amazing staff, like they're ready for us, always ready to help us. I was part of the students who went to Los Gatos High School. That was an amazing experience for me. I got to see another campus. I experienced many awesome things with ODAP, and I am thankful to be in it.
Wait, I need to read.
I'm in trouble now.
I'm Yesenia. I'm also from Ignacio Valley. I'm a part of ODAP, and I'm very grateful that ODAP was brought to YV. It makes me feel very welcome, especially as a Hispanic. I feel like at YV we don't really have that support, and I feel like ODAP has become one of those things that makes us feel welcome. For example, like our Cinco de Mayo event, I've never really had anything like that in my 4 years of high school, and I'm a senior this year. ODAP has become my safe place, and I look forward to it every week. And something like YV, like ODAP was long awaited at YV, and I'm very grateful for it. And I hope that it's at YV for many more years. Thank you.
And so you know, he's gonna be one of our MCs at the Cinco de Mayo next year. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. We're gonna go a little boy, girl, boy.
My name is Jorge Verada. ODAT, ODAT is an amazing program. I'm glad it's at YV, knowing YV is 70% Latino, Hispanic, so it's just good to have Johnny there and talk about life. What's your past, how it's been. It helps you improve in life. He's brought colleges over. Well, some top people from up there, so we get a little conversation to see how it is. So all that is a good program. Amazing. Hello, I want to thank everybody who made it possible to bring over this amazing program. It really motivates me a lot to come to school. It really disciplines me a lot. It taught me a lot. It opens my mind up to, see a lot of opportunities, way more opportunities than just Concord, California, because I never really been out of the country. So it really shows me a lot around, and I really think it's an amazing program. Great conversations. Just overall everything's amazing. You get treated well. It's like family. You feel like, it just feels like you're at home all the time. So I look forward to going to program every week, and teaches me a lot. So thank you for everybody who was part of bringing over the program to our school. It really helped our school a lot. I feel like it developed a lot of students, and it brought it brought a lot of students who don't really speak a lot, like to speak out. So it got a lot of kids going. I want to say thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisbeth. I'm a senior at Ignacio Valley High School, and I'm thankful for having ODAT at our school. This program is very, very unique in a way that we get to communicate a lot in the program, and I look forward to having this program next year. And I'm very thankful for having this program. It really opens up to all of us, and I just like to thank every one of you guys that support this, and like hopefully next year will be here. And I just want to thank everyone who's in the group as well, that we all get to communicate and get to know one each other. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Sherlyn. I'm
a senior at Ignacio Valley High School. I want to say I'm so thankful for Johnny and Ms. Martinez because they're super supportive. And the way I met Johnny was because of one of my paintings, and he asked me to do one for him, and I never gotten that opportunity from someone. And I was really surprised, and I did it. It wasn't obligational. He told me if I wanted to, and I did do it. And then he put me in the program, and I got to see that all the other students are going through the same thing as I am. And I know I wasn't alone, that everyone is there to support you. We're all here, not from obligation. We're all here because we want to be here. And I had my sweater on today, and I had my shirt, and I took it off. I wanted everybody to see that I'm in the program. And I'm so thankful for being with the rest of these students. They're all super supportive, nice. And some of them I haven't even talked to. And starting the program, I started talking to some of them, and it makes me more open. And they talk to me about some deep stuff, and I'm like, okay, good, I like it. And other classes don't do that, so I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Melanie, and I'm a junior at Ignacio Valley. I really enjoy ODA. I'm more of like the quiet student, you know? And like Johnny had mentioned, like, it's not just about like, oh, students that are failing in classes or that, because I've always been like a 4.0 student. But Johnny sees me hang out with this girl here, and he's like, Johnny's a person who can like find that spark in you without you knowing that it's there. And with his talks, with everything he does for us, like it just brings that spark out of us. And it's a good program that like motivates us to like keep wanting to do better in school or just outside and like improving ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie. I'm a 12th grader in Ignacio Valley. How I met Johnny was outside my locker. I was getting my snacks. And he told me to come into his room, and he talked to me about ODA and told me like what he was gonna do to like make this school. Well, I mean, he wasn't gonna make it better, but like it was the students that were gonna make it better. He also in that group, I don't talk a lot in that group. I'm kind of like to myself, but a lot of people do communicate, and it like makes them like more confident about themselves. Like they're like at kind of, it's like peaceful. You can express yourself, and then like people there won't like, you know, like they won't judge you for who you are and what you do in your life. Yeah, that's kind of all I gotta say. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to, I know, I appreciate that you, Mr. Clark came to our room and we were able to show, I just want to bring the artwork that my young lady just mentioned here. Do we have a picture of that, right? Here. Oh, right there. So the piece where you see Jose Cardona is a huge poet he does a lot of large poetry all over the country. And that's Paco Ramirez, the police officer. But that piece of artwork right there, what she had done is she had done an artwork around the Chicano movement in 1968 in East LA and the walkouts. So actually the 13, like a lot of people, oh my God, is that gang related? No, it's not. It's the 13 people that were arrested that day during the walkouts. One was actually a teacher that was part of that. So this young lady, talented. As soon as I found her, I said, well, I'm going to go to Michael's. I went to Michael and bought all this stuff. And I'll be honest with you, what a beautiful piece of work. So this is actually going to be showcased during our graduation this year for Ignacio Valley. They'll be out there. It's going to be we're going to make sure we're going to really push it. But so we wanted to thank her and let you guys see what she was saying. So if you don't have any questions, we, as the executive director, we want to thank you guys. I'll be honest with you, what an opportunity to be here in Concord. And we're hoping that we could do bigger, right? Bigger and better things, you know, is not just focus at one school, but maybe focus at others. I know the kids are always telling me, John, you gotta be at the middle school. This is what happens at the middle school. This is what happens over here. And I'm like, hey, I'm one of those people like, time, right? You gotta start somewhere, you know, you gotta plant the seeds. And then also maybe they come back and they're part of that process, right? One of the things I want to mention for next year, we are going to create a group called La Mesa. La Mesa is gonna, in English, is the table. And some of these kids, only kids that graduate from our program could be part of La Mesa, and they're going to become their own personal counsel within the organization for out here in Concord. So we have other groups and they're going to create their own, but they will be representing our groups here in Concord. So we're really looking forward to that because at some point I could be on the side and they could facilitate the agendas and the discussions in regards to ODAT and what we do. But other than that, we want to thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you for the opportunity, and also you as board. We would like to thank you guys as well. Any questions?
No, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, I just thank you to all the students who came out tonight. I know I've met many of you at school and whatnot, and you guys know I'm your biggest fan. That we often hear just about our young people and stuff like that, and I know given the opportunity.
You mean we only hear negative things about our young people? That's all we hear.
When you put positive people in front of our young people, all of our young people, they're going to do amazing things. And when I know Johnny Rodriguez from Brentwood. Johnny, he didn't share this, but he's an ex-school board member in Brentwood. He's also an ex-city council member. And he was also a young person who struggled like many young people struggle and whatnot. And so I've known the work that he's done, and I knew, when I brought him to Ignacio Valley, I said, this is a diamond in the rough. I said, these kids are so hungry for interaction. They're so hungry to have someone who's really going to advocate for them and give them an opportunity to express the great things that they can do. And just in a couple months, I mean, you hear what's going on. And so I'm just super proud of all of you guys, like I said, and my young artist there, who I just always call out every single time I see her. And I have a picture in front of that painting with her when she did it and stuff. And just very thankful of this board for supporting these efforts. But we have efforts like this going on throughout our district and whatnot in different areas. But just glad that we can really highlight some of the good things going on at Ignacio Valley. And then
Absolutely. And I just want to tag on to that as well. I had the opportunity to visit as well recently. And I want to thank each of you that I was able to meet that day. And it was just, for anyone who walks in the room, there is just this warm feeling, right, of like welcoming and inclusion. And I love how each of you come and introduce yourself to anyone who's meeting. Like that makes a big difference, right? Like you were saying, Johnny, I think sometimes we forget the small things like that. That make a big difference. It's really impressive to see how many people have gotten involved and how much you all have felt like your voice is already being heard it's been what, a couple of months? Like this has not been for very long. So kudos to all of you. Really impressed, really excited to see what comes next, to come out to your events. And I like what one of you said when you said that Johnny has a way of finding that spark in you. And I feel like I see you doing that for each other too, right? Which is really, really cool. And so, yeah, I'm just very excited for what's to come and for all of you as student leaders here and really changing the feel and the culture of the school as a whole, not just in that room. So thank you.
And you're all very well spoken, I have to say.
We didn't rehearse them either. I just like,
No.
kind of hope it's all good stuff. But I know we got to go, but I just want to say is that we are going to have a graduation. We're going to be inviting each one of you. We hope that you could attend. We're going to be inviting the city. All their families are going to be invited. All the kids that graduate. So we're expecting a really, really good crowd. Great food, great entertainment, and you're going to be able to hear a lot of different stories. So because of that, we want to thank you guys for giving this opportunity once again. But that graduation is going to be something really important for you to be at. So we would love to see you guys there and host you. So thank you again.
Everyone's good.
I know you're trying to go home, but I'm not done.
Oh, okay. No.
And I say that to say, like, especially to the people who describe themselves as quiet, in my natural habitat, I'm actually very quiet, but I do like to speak up when there's something that really needs to be said. And I'm really appreciative that you all courageously got up to speak what was on your heart. I'm really appreciative of this board that we've created an environment over the last, we've been together for three years and a quarter, that Dr. Clark can just go, oh, I know Johnny, we need that at YB. And that Johnny comes and creates an environment of that has what I can feel is this immense sense of belonging, cultural affirmation, valuing that we all knew has been missing at YV and that it's missing at many of our schools now. And so I feel really so glad that this set of 57 students or 40 to 45 that show up get to experience that now. And for the youth that are seniors, I'm glad you got to get this last little bit. And for you, those that you are younger, as you develop your leadership and your courage, like you were going to keep this going and bring your younger, I guess your younger classmates along. So it's really exciting to hear all the good that's going. And yeah, really exciting to hear you speak. We're not scary. So now you can tell everybody that we're not scary.
And
I go, I don't know. No.
We sit here.
just so you know, we're super proud to have Trustee Barrios with us and really representing you all. And she's always an advocate and speaks up well for YV and represents you all, represents every student in this district at this board position. So anyway, just thankful. A lot of good stuff happening over there, and we wish you all the best of luck finishing out the school year. Let's finish strong. We'll see you all at graduation in Cinco de Mayo. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're gonna go eat, not like.
And you'll be sending us information about the timing of
Yes, you
those
guys
events?
will get a invitation. It'll be a really nice invitation. We'll send you and invite you to the graduation, and we hope that all you can make it. It'll be really great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, board reports. Who's gonna follow that?
Oh. Need to start writing this down. I think we started. No, I think we started on. Yeah, we did. Okay, thank you. All right. You know what? I think Trustee Barrios, were you looking behind you? Do you have a report this evening? Okay, thank you.
First off, I want to talk about the craziest thing that happened. The YV boys basketball game. Have you guys seen the clip? Yeah. So it was the last 5 minutes, we were all tied, and then we kept shooting back and forth, and then the last 20 seconds we were at tied, and we were at the edge of our seats, and then they almost made one on us, and then we got the ball back, and as soon as the thing buzzed, last second he threw the basketball, and he made it in, and we won the game. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. I'm gonna have to show you guys the clip. Oh my gosh. And then also we got the opportunity to get a bus to go watch the boys play at Santa Cruz. It was still fun to go, but it was sad. What else? Also, the IB Gala at YV. Are you guys gonna go tomorrow? I'm definitely gonna go. I'm gonna go watch. Also, at my student advisory committee, we've been talking about certain opportunities, and one of our main topics has been tardy sweeps and how it has affected our education, as well as how we view going to school. So we're working on how to fix or improve on that. So that's our main focus at the time, and that's pretty much it.
That's great. I would love to actually hear what those students were saying about the tardy sweeps, like what they recommend. So at some point, that would be great to get that feedback. Uh, I did a couple of things. I got to visit ODAD out at YV, which was amazing. And also I got to visit with the IB students who are working to get the full diploma. And there they have a number of things that they need to finish by the end of the year. Not only do they have to score high enough on all of the tests, but they also have a extended essay, which is like in the end, when they complete it, it's like a college level research paper that they spend about a year on. And so it was really exciting to be able to go and talk with each of them about what their topic is and what they're finding. And they all had really fascinating topics that they've researched. I hope that at some point we could like publish all of our extended essay papers to where everyone could read them, because they're all really well researched and thought through and fascinating topics that I think the students should be really proud of. So that was really fun. And then I went to the CABE conference, so California Association of Bilingual Education. So I brought a little handout for you guys. Yeah, thank you. There we go. There you go. So I was able to, this was one of the links that they sent, was this little pocket guide. And this is the California English Learner Roadmap, the roadmap policy, which the EL roadmap was actually passed by the state in 2017. But then I think when COVID hit and everything else, it's sort of something that people have kind of forgotten about. So what was really cool is that there were so many different workshops that incorporated the EL roadmap to remind us all what it is and how we should be incorporating it into everything that we do, really. It's not a separate plan that you sort of put on the shelf, like here's this plan, here's that plan. It's more like ideas and principles that you want to infuse into everything that you do. So your little handout here has the 4 principles, which are number 1 is assets oriented and needs responsive schools, which is something we talk about all the time, right? That we really want all of our teachers and staff to be considering the assets that all of our students bring, and not really, thinking of things in a negative way, right? How can we build on those? Principle 2 is intellectual quality of instruction and meaningful access. Principle 3 is system conditions that support effectiveness. So really looking at your systems. And principle 4 is alignment and articulation within and across systems. Because I think a lot of times, traditionally, school districts all over have these silos, right? Here's student services, here's HR, here's English learners, when really we want to be working across those silos. And I know that's the type of work that we're already doing in our district and working to do. But anyway, this was a very handy little reminder for all of us of those key principles to always have in mind. Couple other workshops that I was able to go to there. One was called Beyond Literacy, Sustaining Translingual and Transcultural Practices in Literacy. This was really interesting because Mariana Castro shared findings from a study that examined bilingual teachers' approaches to biliteracy in a district that had adopted science of reading-based curriculum. And there's always been it's sort of like the new reading wars, right? These days, if you just see it in the media, in the news, it's like, are you for or against science of reading? For or against multilingual, learners, right? And really, it's both. It's both and if we can get into the details of it, we can really talk about it. And so, yes, science of reading is research-based and important for all students. But in a lot of the different workshops, they talked about the pillars of the science of reading, but you want to add 2 more pillars to it when we're talking about our multilingual students. And one is oral language, and the other is background knowledge, because being able to sound out a word is not very helpful if you don't have the context and meaning of that word, right? Anyway, lots of wonderful advice and research on best practices, with the ultimate goal of meta-linguistic awareness and translanguaging, which is like being able to move fluidly between languages. Because a lot of times we think about, okay, we'll either speak in English or we'll speak in Spanish. you know, but in reality, people who are multilingual are going to fluidly go between those languages, which hopefully we all get to that place, right? And then there was one that was key data on math equity gaps among English learners by EdTrust West. And this was great because they actually interviewed parents, and 83% of California parents want their kids to earn at least a bachelor's degree, and half of those want their kids to earn a master's degree too. So it's like, let's all remember that no matter whether our kid is an English learner or not, their parents have dreams for them, right? And we need to help them get there. And there were some bright spots in the data, like the fact that reclassified fluent English proficient students actually score the highest in math, which was really cool, right? So if we can make sure to be able to help more students be able to reclassify, that's not only going to help their English, it's also going to help their math scores, right? And then the other piece was having to do with what courses students are taking, and are we making sure that they can meet the A through G requirements to be able to go to college. Across the state of California, only a third of English language learners are taking either Algebra 1 or 1/3 of them are taking Algebra 1 or no math in 12th grade, which means they're not going to meet the A through G requirements, right? That's statewide. So this is not just our district, but so they had key points of, to honor and leverage multilingual student background, culture, and home language, to integrate English language development into our math instruction, provide sustained teacher professional learning opportunities, and ensure equitable access to rigorous academic coursework. So that was fabulous. And yes, and there was also one about LCAP engagement strategies, using strategies from the Book Street data that they did, and community partners to really engage families that speak all different languages in our communities. So that's my brief CABE report. It was so fun to be able to be there with, we had so many, we had Trustee Mason was there as well, and we had just so many of our teachers from across many different schools in our district. And I think we all felt really energized by being there with, I mean, it was a huge conference, so many people from across the state, with so many best practices, and many of those best practices coming actually from our district as well, which was great. Very proud of us. Thanks.
I really will be brief. No, I know that's exciting. And it makes me like, oh, there's so many things I could share from my day job related to that, but it's not relevant because my day job is not this job. But yeah, happy Women's History Month. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, like look at you're really outnumbered now. That's
That's all right.
I know, but I just love it and love the celebration of this really great leadership team we have. I know I say that all the time, but it just can't be said enough. I just wanted to mention, last night's election was a little disappointing to me, but what was really disappointing was the turnout. And like the turnout was just awful, and that surprised me. But what I hope that we do, and however we prioritize of making sure our students are registered to vote, even before like they'll turn 18 at some point during their senior year, or well, I don't know where we are from when the dates changed, but I was 17 when I graduated high school, but I was registered in my civics class. And then I just 1992 got my presidential ballot, because I was already registered. And I just hope, I don't know what we do, and I don't know what our different schools do, but I really hope that not only are we registering our students, but imparting the importance of having a voice and not letting, like, if in this room it might have been compared to last night, I don't know how many people are in this room, so I can't even guess, but like maybe 3 of us voted and got to decide for everybody in this room. And that's just so disappointing when you're on what I believe is the side of justice and righteousness. So there was that. And then I actually am looking forward to, well, one, Concord High School right now is yes, right now it started at 7, I think. Right now is having the band event of all the bands and then choirs. So these are the things I'm looking forward to this month. That's what I don't have anything in it. And then choirs, I don't know what day they get together, but I'll be there. But they have a rehearsal next Thursday, so I know it's coming soon. So all the MDUSD choirs will be coming together, and that will be beautiful and joyous music as well. And next week, along with my colleagues, we get to go see Dr. Clark be installed as the president of California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators. This has been a long time coming, and we should all be so proud. So then we'll have a report next time about how majestic it was. When he gets, I don't know if you get like, are you gonna get a crown? Maybe I'll bring one just for the photo op anyway. So I'm really looking forward to that. In what month is this? March. Yeah. Yeah. But I would love to talk about like language justice. So in my day job, because I'm leaving you hanging, I'm working on in early childhood education, it's DLL, dual language learners, and the push of identifying dual language learners and making sure dual language learners have everything they need. And in my day job, I'm working on language justice also for our youngest Black children and around language and their home language. And because when everyone gets what they need, they really excel. So that's it. Oh yeah, you don't get to go. You just get to pass it on.
I am going to pass that. Trustee Mayo, do you have a report this evening?
First, I'd like to thank the Mount Diablo Education Association, Anita Johnson, and the executive board for inviting me as a board member to attend the Al Costa CTA breakfast on February 24th. As usual, it was a great event. They always have some politicians who make a few comments, and then some of the CTA representative make comments. So it's an informative event, and the breakfast is always great. It's held in Pleasanton. I went to a concert and wind ensemble performance that was held at DVC. The lineup included College Park High School Concert Band, Ignacio Valley High School Wind Ensemble, Concord High School Symphonic Band, Northgate High School Combined Concert Band and Symphonic Band, and College Park Wind Ensemble. So each of the groups performed. And then at the end of the performance, the DVC Symphonic Band performed. So the students got to see the progression, and it turns out that some of our high school students are participating in the DVC Symphonic Band because they meet on Thursday nights. And not only do they have high school students and regular DVC students, they also have community members in the band. So there is a group of people who are passionate about music and have different talents and skills. And it just warms my heart to see that. I went to the Shore Acres Black History Student Performance and Family Dinner. The multi-use room was bursting at the seams with attendance, and the food was great. And the students did group performances on the stage, which were very heartwarming. Then there was the Foothill Middle School and Pine Hollow Middle School and the district-wide elementary choir performance that has happened. And that was fantastic too, to see all of the students vocalizing together. The one that I really want to call out is I attended the Oak Grove Middle School Black History Choir Celebration. And I want to compliment Director Kenneth Hutchison for putting together a performance by the students where every student that got to speak several lines during the performance, and every student got to sing. And the whole theme, of course, was Black history in the United States. You would have loved it. it was very moving, and I hope there is some way that we can feature that particular program and presentation for our district. The final thing I want to call out is we attended the CAC meeting, and I'll let Ms. McFerrin talk about that.
I'll be very brief. I went to CABE and actually went to one session that was called 10 Things Educators Need to Know About Bilingual Education by the CDE. And then realized I didn't really need to go because Carmen has already taught me all of that in DLAC. And told Dr. Clark I came away feeling that we are really providing a lot of really good educational programs for our students, whether it be bilingual, dual language immersion, IB courses. We're really covering the bases and honoring our kids. And I think the presentation tonight shows that we honor the kids and where they come from. And I popped into, and I went to they had a film festival, the Lowriders tradition, which I actually remembered when we would go up and down Railroad Avenue in Pittsburgh. So it was very relevant for me, but interesting to hear their take on the history of it. So that was good. And then this morning I went to Rio Vista for the breakfast, the school breakfast week, the smoothie that they had this morning. And they are feeding a lot of kids there. I was very impressed. And that's it for me.
I'll be brief. Probably maybe the highlight of my last couple of weeks was going to the choir concert at Concord High on Monday night. I am really kind of just impressed at the quality of those performances. And I'm so grateful to our music educators that we have that do really exceptional work, and it just really shows when our students perform. I also attended the CAC meeting last night. This speaker series last night was on kind of how caretakers need to take care of themselves, which I know is really a challenge for people that take great care of their children, just any child, and especially children that have additional needs. And so it was a really relevant and important presentation. We also got some kind of encouraging updates kind of about the hiring fair that MDUSD recently participated in and I think hosted for the county. And so I don't remember all the specifics on that, but I know that it seems like that, we are kind of making a lot of efforts to do what we can in terms of addressing the issues that we're facing with the teacher shortage. And so that was really good to hear. And I think that's all I have this evening, Dr. Clark.
All right, I have two quick reports that I'll go through. Just want to revisit our LCAP goals, and we are at this point, we're starting to relook at our LCAP for the year, and we're going to be looking at these goals and seeing if they're still appropriate for the work that we're doing within the district. So excited about that, and these 4 goals really have served us well and really help provide that needed direction and that North Star for something for us to shoot towards. I want to just formally recognize our 2 teachers of the year. We're very excited with we have Walnut Acres being represented by Mia Corella, and we have Bancroft Elementary being represented by Ingrid Wright. And so we're very excited to welcome them here at our next meeting. They're going to be coming on March 27th. And so we're going to roll out the red carpet for them and really share and learn what makes them teachers of the year and those experiences that they're providing for our students. I also want to recognize Diablo View Middle School as being named as a distinguished school. That's good recognition. We're proud as a district to have another distinguished school in our district. I know we did elementary some time back. They go in cycles. They do elementary, then they do middle schools, and they do secondary schools, high schools. And so with Diablo View being named a distinguished school, that's something that the students and parents and staff should be very proud of out at Diablo View, and we'll be recognizing them and I did get the invitation for the Disneyland reception and whatnot. And so I want to offer that up to any of the board members who may be willing to go down to the reception there. I also just want to recognize that it is Women's History Month, and I just want to say, as a district, we did a really good job at celebrating Black History Month, and so I hope that that we do the same for Women's History. You know, obviously, women have you know, gone through struggles in this country, gaining the right to vote, and we still have pay gaps and just lots of you know, lots of things that are going on with people who aren't women who are making decisions that affect women. And so I think as we work to you know, celebrate this month, that is something that we really need to keep our eye on and make sure that we're at least showing our young students all of the you know, all of the role models out there and the women who have done great things, who really deserve to be celebrated. And so I would like to see our schools and classrooms decorated with strong, powerful women who are doing wonderful things in the community and at their homes and for this nation and for the world at large. So excited to be celebrating that. Also, just this week is National School Breakfast Week. You know, I was out at a school this morning having breakfast, and it is just truly amazing what they have to offer. There was a fruit bar that was beautiful. It had kiwi, it had strawberries, it had oranges, you know, apples, just really for our students to actually have access to it. Then there were, geez, what are the overnight oats called? Overnight oats. Thought there was some special fancy name for it or whatnot, but you know, there was overnight oats and cinnamon apples toppings in the overnight oats. And then obviously my personal favorite was the homemade scones, the healthy scones. But again, it's just, you know, really number one is just our students need to eat. Right. And it's hard to concentrate in class if you haven't eaten or if you haven't had a nutritious meal. But what our schools are doing for breakfast, for brunch and for lunch, and even for our students who stay late for our supper meal is just truly incredible. And our students are being exposed to different types of food, obviously very nutritious food, but also food from other cultures and just different types of food. As I shared with the staff today, the cafeteria staff at Ignacio Valley, it breaks my heart when I see young, you know, 7, 8-year-old students, you know, getting chips from the corner store in the morning or drinking sodas and things like that. And those things are fine occasionally, but if you're eating them before you go to school and things like that, like that's something that we don't want to promote. And we really want to promote nutritious meals. And with breakfast being the most important meal of the day, I'm always just really impressed and taken aback by the love and care that our cafeterias provide for our students. So had a great time visiting our cafeterias this morning. We talked earlier about School Social Worker Appreciation Week, and this was just a little montage that was on our social media. But again, it's just celebrating our social workers. You know, it's just wow, as times have changed, that we know we have social workers now in schools, because again, if the basic needs of our young learners aren't met, or our older learners, then how do we expect them to really fully engage in the challenging curriculum that we have? So just hats off to our school social workers. And I just wanted to share this picture. I know it doesn't do justice, but this is a sign at Mount Diablo High School. And I'll just read off a few of the things that they have there. They have a newcomer group. They have a food pantry. They have I know I had this earlier, but I think it's a Southeast Asian club. There's need support, right? Those are any types of support that you need. They have LGBTQ plus club. It's just showing the school really like there's a space for everyone. And I think we just heard the importance of our young people at this age to have a space where they're recognized and where they can, be around other young people who are going through similar things that they are. And our school social workers and counseling staff really bring this out. And I think it's just something that we do a really good job at, at providing spaces for our students when those spaces aren't available in other places. So anyway, this is just a picture I wanted to share of stuff that's out there. And again, this is at Mount Diablo High School. I have a next presentation. So I wanted to share some data on our social emotional learning survey results. And I know, we get, sometimes, people think that we overassess our students. And I know, I've heard from kindergarten teachers, oh, trying to get our kindergartners to take an assessment is really difficult, or our younger students, or, with our older students, they have, their curriculum and stuff to get through. But I think these are good measurements to really see how our students are doing social emotionally. So these are some results that I've shared this format before. This is a breakdown of our student groups. And the next slide is gonna illuminate this a little bit more. But as you can see, the blue is high, green is sort of middle, the yellow is low, and the pink red is very low. And I remember sharing these same data points back during the pandemic, and they looked a little different. And so I think it is something that we should track and we should talk about, and we should have some sort of reference to how our students are doing. This is the breakdown on the number of our student groups who took the assessment. So we have African American, we have American Indian, Alaskan, we have Asian, we have Latino, Native Hawaiian, white, 2 or more races, and then we have socioeconomically disadvantaged. We have our English learners, students with disabilities, foster youth, and homeless. These are student groups that our state has set up as these are how we have to measure, use these categories for our students. I'd like it just to say students, but this is the rules that we live by. And so this gives the number of students that were tested. But here is essentially what the data is telling us, is that district-wide, 89% of our elementary school students reported mid to high SEL reporting levels. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to share the questions that they were asked, but then it breaks down by demographics. So you can see our Pacific Islanders, 99%, our white students, 91%, 2 or more races, 87%, Asian, 87%, American Indian, Alaskan Native, 88%, African American, 88%, and Latino, 87%. So these generally are strong numbers for our elementary students. So then we go to middle, and you can see that at least when I look at this, the thing that stands out to me is the very lack of very low. So that's a good thing, that with middle school being just such that pivotal age and such a challenging age for our young people as they're going through hormonal changes and just finding themselves. Was happy to see that. We have a lot of students in the middle, and of course the blue can be a little bit higher. But here goes the number of students who took the assessment, and then as we break it down, it's a little lower, but and that's to be expected. But 83% of middle school students reported mid to high SEL reporting levels, and I won't go through all the others, but I will say that by program, our EL students scored the lowest at 73%. So we look at our Asian students, and 2 or more races scored the highest, EL lowest, and so our Latinos in our demographic group scored low here. Then we look at our high school, and again, as students get older and as just they continue to change, continue to learn more about themselves, and continue to have more and more responsibility placed on them, you can kind of see how these have shifted. Our numbers are here. And again, all these reports are posted online for people to really dig into them as I'm just briefly going through them. But let's see what they say. So here we are again, a little bit lower. 80% of high school students reported a mid to high SEL reporting level. 2 or more races being the highest, and our American Indian, Alaskan Native at 75% being the lowest. And then in terms of programs, there goes that EL group again. And was impressed to see foster youth up at towards the top at 85%. So again, you know, it's hard to say what contributed to this. Is there an instructional strategy we used? Is it having social workers on campus? Is it having smaller class sizes, larger class sizes, cell phones? What's contributing to this? There's so many different variables. It's hard to pinpoint on one thing. What I will say contributes to this is our focus on our students and keeping the focus where it really needs to be, which is on all of our students and giving them what they need to be successful. But let's kind of just break it down a little bit more. So as we look at our TK1 students, the highest percentage of students in the mid to high levels for relationship skills and the lowest for self-management and self-awareness. So there's questions that are in these competencies that really pull this out. And then our middle school students, our middle grade, 2nd to 5th grade, students had the highest percentage levels for social awareness and the lowest for self-awareness. So you know, it's changing a little bit, but now as we look at our secondary students, middle and high school students had the highest for social awareness and the lowest for relationship skills. So again, I mean, it's not rocket science, but this shows that like a one size fits all approach doesn't work. And so these are the competencies. And then so again, these survey items. So this is what I think is important. So the highest percent of students agreed with the following statements. When I have a problem, I know that there's an adult at school who can help me. I can ask for help from myself or a friend, and I listen to and I am grateful for my classmates when they share their feelings. So that tells us something, right? That really does. And this is very similar to the California Healthy Kids survey that we give. That's much more extensive. The least percent of students agreed with the following statements, which no surprise, right? I know a way to calm myself when I'm feeling upset. I think you know, that's a you know, developmentally, that's where they are. And I listen to people talk without talking at the same time. So, you know, I think some of our adults can learn from that. So let's see the 2nd to 5th grade. Our highest percentage of students agreed with the following statements. When someone wants me to break the rules, I can say no. That's good. And I get along and accept people who are different from me. Like maybe all that work that we're doing and stuff is having an impact, right? And I care about other people's feelings. Like I think that's one that really touched me. The least percent of students agreed with the following statement. I feel like people understand my ideas when I share them. And I can calm myself down when I'm feeling angry or frustrated. And also I can say how I feel. So again, like social emotional learning, I know that at the national level, it's been redefined in a way that is really not factual, but really what SEL is all about is about learning about yourself and your own emotions and feelings and stuff. So we absolutely should be working with our students on how to understand their emotions and how to respond to others and how to see themselves in particular ways. Now let's see what our secondary students had to say. The highest percent of students agree with the following statement. I get along and accept people who are different from me. I really like that. And when someone wants me to break the rules, I can say no, I like that. And I care about other people's feelings. Wonderful. The least percent, I feel like people understand my ideas when I share them. And when I have a problem, there is an adult at school that I can trust and go to. So that's again, that is something we want to work on. And I think hearing from those high school kids tonight kind of talked about there's a need there. And just think, if we didn't have that program at that school, who would these kids have to what word did you use, Trustee Count? Find that spark or find that light or whatever, find the spark, like who would be doing that? So I think this is valuable. So we should continue to give these and talk about these. And then the last is I seek help when needed. And that's another thing. It's like, we've got to teach our people to open up when they need help, when they need assistance. So anyway, so that's hot off the press. This was from like a couple weeks ago. The date's on there, 3/1. So again, we test. This is a local assessment that we do. We test in English language arts, we test in math, and we test in SEL. And tonight I'm just sharing with you all the SEL data. Glad to have if you have any questions, glad to answer any. If not, we will continue on. All right.
I have a question.
Okay.
When so both for secondary, so both middle and high school, the least percent of students, when I have a problem, there's an adult at school that I can trust and can go to, appears in both places. And I'm curious, so I feel like that's an adult problem. So what do we do? Well, I wonder, has that, for as long as we've been doing this particular tool, which has been this year, last year, and I can't remember if we did the same one the year before, but has that been consistent? And I don't expect you to know this, but are there schools where you've seen it change?
So what I will say about this is, I think at the secondary level, we're much more departmentalized, and so in elementary, in a self-contained class, the teacher is everything to the students, right? And so that teacher takes care of all their needs, math, English, science, everything. And when you get in the upper grades, if a student's having a problem, it's kind of like, go see the counselor, go see the vice principal, those types of things. So really, that is okay for certain things, but really that classroom needs to be that kind of safe space where like everyone should trust their teacher, right? That's who they spend the most amount of time with. That's who they work with the most. And then in those tier 2, tier 3 type settings, when students really need that extra support, that's where your counselors come in. That's where the vice principal comes in. That's where the social workers come in. But that overall should always be in the classroom. So we're trying to shift that mindset and really become holistic, where our focus is just on the kids, and it's not necessarily on, okay, the student's not performing at this thing, I'm going to ship him or her out to go get fixed. I need to address that at the tier 1 level within the classroom. That's kind of somewhat of an answer to your question. It's a bigger issue.
Just one other thing that came to mind for me was in the younger age groups where they were saying, I know a way to calm myself down if I'm feeling upset, and that they don't know that.
Yeah.
Or feeling angry or frustrated, or not feeling like other people understand them. Just something that comes to mind from that is some discussions I've been hearing in the community in terms of healthcare and also potentially in schools is the DBT, the dialectical behavior therapy, which I think coming out of COVID, we had more students that were, coming out of that isolation that had experienced, self-harm and things like that as ways to cope. And then when those students who were able to get into specialized programs like with John Muir Health or Kaiser, learned, oftentimes one of the tools that they learn there is DBT, which is very, very helpful for them to be able to learn, how can I actually control these negative thoughts that are coming into my brain without resorting to something like self-harm. And what is exciting to me is that I'm starting to hear more about DBT being able to be more accessible to everybody, and not just the one thing that you can only access after you've experienced, suicidal tendencies or self-harm. It should be, these are types of skills that actually all of us could benefit from at a much earlier age, probably before even getting into middle school and high school. And I think many of our counselors have that training as well in DBT, but the idea of making it be more of a common thing that our teachers would also be able to incorporate into, say, health courses and things like that. So there's some exciting things out there that I think hopefully we'll be able to, work together with us in our schools to address some of the real challenges our kids are facing. Yeah.
All right, well, that concludes my report. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so with that, we move to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone is hoping we could pull or anything like that? And if not, we can take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's a motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. Okay. So, okay, so that moves us on to our business action items, starting with 17.1, review and potential approval of the Mount Diablo Unified School District second interim report, 2023 to 2024.
Yes, we're going to hear from Adrian Vargas, our CBO. I didn't see Ms. Roberts walk in the room. I would have, as I was talking about that SEL data, I would have definitely called on you, but yeah, it's okay. Jeez, I didn't even know you were there. Jeez. Okay. All right. Next time. All right. We'll talk about more exciting stuff than SEL data. Let's talk about second interim.
Really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good evening, board and Dr. Clark. So I'm going to be reviewing the second interim report. So first, the reporting requirements were required to do 2 reports. So we did first interim back in December, and so we're on the second report or second interim, and that reflects the district's position as of January 31st, and we're projecting our budgets through the end of the fiscal year of June 30th, 2024. And then we also have included our multi-year projections, and then it requires board approval and certification. And as a reminder, these are the 3 types of certifications. So we have positive, qualified, and negative. And positive is that we can meet our financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. Qualified is we may not meet our financial obligations. And then negative is we will not meet. And then the last slide of the PowerPoint is what we're self-certifying. So I'm going to hold that. And then moving on, I do need to make a change on, or just an update on the first bullet point. Our enrollment was still at 29,064. We copied the first interim PowerPoint, so we forgot to take that piece out. But we did have higher revenues, and that was primarily due to the higher ADA for TK students, because we didn't have that data when we did the adopted budget in the first interim. So that netted us roughly about 870,000 more over the first interim projections. So that was good news. We do have vacancy savings removed from the under-restricted budget of about 4.3 million. And then that was offset by the increases for health benefits of 2.7 million. And that's related to the agreement that we signed with Medea, and also just the Me Too to that health and welfare portion. Restricted materials, supplies, and contracted services increased overall by $1 million. Restricted capital outlay increased by 2.6 million. And that's primarily due to our ESSER funds, and that's just more of transactional budget adjustments we're making. So we load carryover right around first interim, and then our POs are loaded from the prior year. So we're covering budgets to cover prior year purchase orders. Our contributions increased roughly by 1.7 million. And again, that's primarily due to the health cost increases for special ed programs. And then as a reminder, our multi-year projections include the agreement with Medea and the Me Too clause of 9% on salary, which is effective July 1st, 2024, and then the 100% coverage of the Kaiser full rates. So moving on to the next slide, this is just a snapshot of the general fund revenues. As you can see, overall, we're generating 487 million or 488 million. The big portion of that is our LCFF, and then we have some pie graphs. You might notice if you see the percentages on the restricted, that only totals like 63%. So those correct percentages should be 39% for federal revenues, 9% for local revenues, and 52% for state revenues. So that should be an update. I don't know if anyone caught that, but we just got that this morning. So moving on to the next slide, this is a table basically outlining the different types of expenditures for the general fund, broken out by unrestricted and restricted. And as you can see on the unrestricted side, we're roughly at about 271 million. On the restricted, 248 million for a total combined expenditure budget of 518.5 million. And then you can see this is the pie graph that kind of breaks out the percentages. And I believe we're close to 90% on the unrestricted side for salaries and benefits. And then moving on, this slide represents our transfer or our contributions to our special ed programs and our routine restricted maintenance account, as well as a small portion to a federal program, and then our local programs that cover stipends. And then our total contributions are roughly 78.4 million. And then in this current year, we do have a transfer out to our deferred maintenance fund of $5 million. Then moving on, this is just the fund summary table that shows all of our other funds. And none of our other funds are projected to have a negative fund balance, which is a good thing. But that just represents the other funds outside of the general fund. So moving on to the multi-year projections, not much has changed except for the COLA, which is the big change. So if you remember back at first interim, the COLA that we were using for the 2 out years was 3.94% in 24-25 and 3.29% in 25-26. So with the governor's January proposal, now we're at 0.76 and 2.73. So a couple of numbers to think about is, if you remember at first interim, we designated 20 million for the what I called the LCFF COLA reserve. So with these new COLAs, and I didn't have the 3rd year COLA, so now that I have it, we're seeing a $10.8 million drop in LCFF revenue in 24-25, and then an additional 13 million in 25-26 with these new adjusted COLAs. So roughly it's about 23.8 million, but if you add the 870,000 that we increased this year, it's, you know, still 23 million over 3 years. And then the federal, state, and local revenues are projected to remain constant after we remove one-time and expiring resources. And then we're contributing 3 million or projecting a 3 million increase in each of the next 2 years for special ed programs. A couple other things I do want to point out in terms of our ADA percentage, because we did use 93.3%. If we were able to increase that to 94% in the out years, that would generate an additional 2.7 million on average each of the next 2 years. If we were able to go to 94.5%, that would generate 4.4 million each of the next 2 years. So that would be a total of 8.8 million. So there are programs in the governor's budget to help districts increase their attendance rates. So that is one way that we can generate more revenue, is just working on the students that we do have, having them come to school more often than we currently do. So just some numbers. And then moving on, the step and column increases are projected at 1.56%. We do have the 9%, as I mentioned earlier. Unrestricted salaries increased due to TK expansion and the movement of some of our ESSER funded positions. And those are primarily our technology and maintenance and operations positions. And then restricted salaries decreased due to the removal of the one-time funds. And then our benefit costs do increase due to PERS pension rate. So that's for our classified staff. And then of course the health benefits. And then we do have some increases related to our consumer price index for books and supplies and contracted services. And then on the restricted side, it's decreasing due to the removal of the one-time funding sources. And then this is just more on, this is related to services and other operating expenditures. On the unrestricted side, we do have increases for utilities, property and liability insurance, and our contracts. And again, on the restricted side, it's the removal of one-time funds, and primarily all those one-time funds related to ESSER. And then one other point is our transfers out to deferred maintenance fund. We're only projecting the 5 million in the current year, so we have no set aside in the 2 out years or in the 2 subsequent years. So I know this slide is very hard to see, but basically the bottom line is that we will, even with the deficit spending, and we are, we're doing a planned deficit spend with that salary increase and the 2-year deal on the health and welfare Kaiser as part of the Medea agreement. We will have the minimum of 3% in the 3rd year out. But also I will point out that we do have some commitments in the 3rd year out and assignment. So we are still above the 3% that's required for our reserve. So moving on, just things to think about, of course, is the state economy. We've gotten data, recently about receipts coming in lower. So we have to watch that. Also, just the expiring and spending down of the one-time funds. We are accounting for, those positions that are moving to the unrestricted general fund. But we still don't know what the state is going to do. There's talk of cutting the learning recovery block grant. There's conversations about that. But again, we just need to monitor those initiatives that are being passed around. Also, just being cognizant of the increases for STRS and PERS rates, and of course, health benefits and other operating costs like insurance and utilities. And then as I shared that data point, just our enrollment and our student attendance, maintaining the growth or at least the flat enrollment that we use in our multi-year. So this is just a budget calendar timeline. So we're in March and we're presenting the 2nd interim report. We are currently working on budget development for the 24-25 fiscal year. We will get an update from the governor on his budget proposal in May, and we call that the May revise. And then we'll be back in June to present the proposed budget and then present again for the adoption. So with that, we are self-certifying with a positive certification for the 2nd interim because we are maintaining that the district will have the 3% minimum reserve in the current year and the 2 subsequent years. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the informative presentation. And it's really, really good news that we are able to have a positive certification at this time. When you hear what's happening to many, many districts all around us, they're not necessarily in that fiscal position and they're needing to make some pretty drastic cuts at this time. So, thank you to all of our leadership, Dr. Clark, and our fiscal team for really carefully thinking about how to spend those one-time funds that we were given so that the cliff is not so extreme for our district at this time. So I think that's really great news. I wanted to ask a question that just came to mind. So it's okay if you don't have an answer today. But when we talk about the contributions to the special education programs, there was a slide earlier. Let me see. Where you were talking about the general fund contributions and transfers out. And it said special education programs, 62 million. But then later on, when we're looking at our multi-year assumptions in the out years, we have contributions to special education programs at 3 million each year. So that seems like a really big difference. So I think there's something I'm missing in understanding.
So the 62 million is what we're projecting for this year. And so in the multi-year, we're adding 3 million on the top of what we are already.
In addition to the 62. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
And the one thing I will add is when we come back to present the adopted budget, part of and we have a resolution as the next board item about the commitments, and part of that is the 45 million for the settlement agreement. So part of that has the special ed cost increase built into that. And I was thinking about that as I was prepping for this. So the contribution may look a little bit different, but the overall bottom line, when I'm developing the budget for 24-25, I'm using the multi-year projections that we present right now at second interim as kind of like the base. So what you see as the second interim, that's our target. And if there's any variances from that target, more than likely it's related to one-time funds that we're building into the budget for 24-25. And then you will see that being pulled out of the 25-26. So kind of on your question, like the contribution is still going to be played evaluated as we flow through the 9% and the health and welfare increase.
Thank you. And just for the public to understand, when you're talking about contributions, you're talking about transferring funds between unrestricted over to restricted. Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe you could help the state controller and our state treasurer, because they can't seem to predict what's going to happen with any accuracy in the future. So thank you for at least steering us in the right direction.
I thought you were going to say like help them move their budgets around, because I feel like that's, if you look at what the state does, like, the COLA of 0.76, they're borrowing from prior year, and that's not the practice that they allow us to do, but we are kind of doing that with the one-time funds. The one-time funds is building up fund balance to kind of sustain multi-year projections so districts can kind of maintain the minimum reserve. And so kind of to your point, Trustee Cowan, like we're trying to utilize the one-time funds to move expenditures of existing programs and kind of build the fund balance up again to help stave off some of these increases that we see in the multi-year. So it is and I also think about what Dr. Clark said at the last board meeting, it's like a puzzle, and we're putting the puzzle together with the budget in terms of making sure we spend down everything and, utilize the funds in the most efficient manner.
I thought, Trustee Mason, that you were going to say convince the state to move to enrollment funding rather than attendance, like almost every other state in the country.
Uh, I move to approve the Mount Diablo Unified School District Second Interim Report 2023-2024.
Second.
The motion from trustee Nzewi and a second from trustee Cowan. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So the part to remember to tell your friends, if we can increase attendance from 93, what were we at? If we can increase it to 94% or to 94.5%, it's going to be $4 million a year for the school district. Okay. So let's share that info.
I think with my friends gone, it's probably gonna go up.
We have a technical issue over here on the voting.
All right, so that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. Mr. Vargas, you have the next item too.
Correct. And so the next item is just the resolution designating certain general funds as committed. And so the biggest change is removing the 20 million that we had for the LCFF COLA reserve. And then we have some adjustments to our LCAP supplemental figure as well. It's a little bit higher than it was at first interim. So that's the two changes.
And just to explain, the LCAP supplemental is we have to set that aside, right, to be able to continue to restrict it to be spent in the way that it's intended. Okay. Thanks.
I move to approve resolution 2324-53, designating certain general funds as committed fund balance.
Second.
That's a motion from trustee Nzewi and a second from trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Thank you.
All right.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Clark. I have before you item 17.3 for your consideration to reduce the number of certificated employees based on a reduction or discontinuance of a certain particular kind of service. In front of you this evening, we have the elimination of one position as our departments consider some restructuring.
Madam President, I move to approve resolution 2324-54 to reduce the number of certificated employees based on a reduction or discontinuance of certain particular kinds of services.
I'll second that.
That's a motion from trustee Cowan and a second from trustee Mason. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Okay, thank you. The next item I have before you is item 17.4, which is very similar, but it's looking at a reduction or discontinuance of a number of classified employee positions based on a discontinuance of a particular kind of service for or related to 3 positions.
Resolution 23/24-56, reducing or discontinuing the number of classified employees based on a reduction or discontinuance of a particular kind of service for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
That's a motion from trustee Mason and and a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Great, thank you. Next item 17.5. I have before you as an information item, but I believe it came to you last time as information. So my apologies, but it looks like I'm being very thorough this time, and it will come before you again. I apologize for that. So that's all I have for that one. Okay. And 17.6, I believe, is information action for the December 2023 quarterly update.
Are there any questions or comments on this item? If not, it looks like we could approve it if there's a motion.
I'm moved to approve. Sorry. Changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, December 2023 quarterly update.
Second.
It's a motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Cowan. Trustee Barrios, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimously with concurrence from our student board member.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rubio. Okay, it looks like that is all of our items. So I am going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.